Hello, Junk Monkers. You're listening to part 2 of the Season 1 recap. We'll finish up our countdown and talk about some season highs and some season lows. Also, Noah and I will be back next time to pick up on our Season 4 episodes. For now, enjoy the show.
Buckle up, it's the Junk Monk Podcast.
So let's see, Savanah, you'll be doing your number 3 episode.
Yeah,
so that
okay.
means we're actually in our top favorites. So
Yay.
the ones that, I'm looking at mine. Mine are actually my top 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. So are yours
Awesome.
yours top 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I'm excited.
Okay, so...
Oh, sorry. Also,
What?
sorry I had to interrupt.
You're fine.
We have a new snack out. We have some Welch's sparkling red grape juice, and it is 2020.
Woohoo.
It's the new year. So,
yeah.
Woohoo. Do we have some applause, Toby?
Thank you, Toby.
Woo-hoo. Thanks, Toby. Thank you, Toby. All right. Okay, continue, Savanah.
Okay, so also forgive me, I'm very bubbly because I had soda and this sparkling grape juice, so that's fun.
Yeah, this is the Junk Monk Podcast, so you're welcome.
All right, so Mr. Monk goes to the carnival. This is the 4th episode of the series. In the opening, we see Captain Stottlemeyer's ex-partner get on a Ferris wheel with some kid trying to sell him drugs. I guess it's like a little mini sting. When the two are on the Ferris wheel, the kid freaks the cop out. He starts yelling. This kid is trying to say that Lieutenant Kirk is trying to kill him. He's shouting stuff like, "Get off me, man!" And when they come down, the kid is dead, even though Kirk insists that he never even touched the kid. Monk is called in to exonerate him. This does in fact happen, with the conclusion being that a man named Leonard Stokes, a current prisoner, arranged to frame the lieutenant so that his case would be thrown out before his trial. He wanted Kirk to look like a killer and discredit him. The kid that was killed wasn't obviously supposed to die. He was just supposed to look beat up, but he was a patsy for Leonard Stokes and his girlfriend, the Ferris wheel operator. So she actually stabs the kid when he comes down from the Ferris wheel and does a great job to make it look like that the cop did it. She ultimately dies too, though, because Leonard Stokes is just a terrible person, and he wants to stop her from spilling as well, so he's just trying to, cover all his bases. They catch him on the Ferris wheel after he's so cleverly hid up there. Also, during the episode, we see Monk's his reinstatement hearing. Monk thinks he's ready, but the captain testifies and can't bring himself to recommend Monk. They have a tiff about it, but Monk ultimately realizes he's not ready when he's paralyzed once again by his phobias while on a case.
Yep, that's a good one. That is a good one. Anything that you liked about this episode? I'm sure that there is.
I liked just everything about it. I found it really entertaining. I liked, because it was another episode where you're really wondering, how on earth could they possibly pull this off? It's one of the episodes where you don't know who the killer is.
Yep, that's a good one.
How? the cop didn't do it,
Yeah.
I can't really, I don't know. Just this whole episode, I just liked it. I liked the mystery. I liked how they figured it out. I liked the ending scene. I agree with both Girona and Stottlemeyer. You don't give Monk false hope. That was my thing. It feels like he kind of gave Monk false hope a little bit, but I do agree that Monk was not ready to be reinstated.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go real quick, because I have this is my only serious note on this paper, is that I like when we see the captain talk highly about Monk to Randy. When they're in the office, Randy tries to defend the captain, like I was talking about before, oh no, sir, I'm sure that you would have figured it out. And he says, no, Randy, there's only one Adrian Monk. Oh, yeah. I love that line. I
do like that.
Yeah. Do you want me to keep on, or?
I think that's everything I liked about it. It's weird. It's like when you like the whole thing, you can't really pinpoint most of your favorite
because the rest
stuff.
of my things are quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is probably my favorite scene. I've seen it a few times because I was trying to get the quotes down, but it's really good. So this is the scene where right after Monk leaves his thing for his reinstatement part, right? So he comes down the stairs their car's parked right out in front. So Monk comes down and he tells Sharona, get in the passenger seat. And he thinks the people from the badge review board are watching him from upstairs, and he doesn't want to look like he's an invalid. So Monk and Sharona, they bicker, and then Sharona tells Monk to start yawning like he's too tired to drive. And he's like, no, I would have had to have established that earlier. I can't just yawn. And she's like, no, it's never too early to start yawning. Everybody yawns at some point in the day, so start yawning. So funny. He's like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm not in kindergarten. I'm trying to get my badge back. And I love that. They bicker so much. And then finally, because he does drive. She lets him drive.
He does.
He wrecks the car. And then she gets out and she's like, get in the passenger seat. You're never driving, not even if hell
not even if hell freezes over.
No, she says, if hell freezes over. And then she says, no, not even then, because I don't want you driving on the ice. Oh, that's so good. I love that. What other quote do I have? Oh, so when Monk and the captain are at the carnival, Monk isn't supposed to be there, I guess, because somebody that's like above them has jurisdiction or something. So Monk's not really supposed to be there. So the captain's like, oh, hey, let me get rid of these guys. You just go over there and have fun. And Monk's like, have fun? How am I supposed to? And he's like, well, you've seen other people do it. Just do what they do. I thought that was funny. And then also at the carnival, Monk guesses the amount of jelly beans that are in the jar.
Love that.
And he won't tell Sharona how he did it until the very end.
I forgot how he did it. How did he do it again?
I'm not telling you till the end.
Dang
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was like, no.
Oh no, he at the end, Sharona takes his shoe and walks away with it, and he's sitting on a bench, and she's like, no, tell me how you did the jar and I'll give you your shoe back. And he's like, Sharona, come on. He's like, okay, fine. I saw the empty bags of jelly beans at the thing in the trash can. So there was this many bags, jelly beans in the bag. I figured the kid ate a few before he put them in the jar.
Oh my goodness.
So then it's 8,716 or something like that.
Oh
That's how he does it. Okay, so when Monk, I guess the captain tells him that he didn't put him up for reinstatement.
Oh, yeah.
And then so Monk's really sad and he says, I just want to be alone. And Sharona says, okay, I'll come with you.
I'll come with you.
That was really sweet and sad.
My gosh, yeah.
Is there anything that you did not like about this episode?
It wasn't anything wrong with the episode. There was just character stuff that I didn't like.
Okay, let's see. So what I did not... I only have one thing. Is this my episode? I really like this one. This is yours,
my
isn't
episode,
it?
yeah.
I actually really like this episode. I did not like that they made the captain testify. I get it that he did do the right thing, so I'm on his side about it. But I guess what I really didn't like is that they made Monk and Sharona really mad about it. Like, maybe Monk because he doesn't see so much of...
What's wrong with him, yeah.
But Sharona knows.
Exactly. I thought that was so out of character for Sharona. I'm like, you complain about it half the time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't...
And she's his nurse. So
exactly.
she, like maybe she's trying to give herself the benefit of the doubt. Like, oh, look how much of a great job I've done in the past, few years, which obviously she has. But that doesn't mean that he's ready. To carry a badge and a gun.
No,
so
no.
That was my only thing. That was my only thing about that episode. So there you go.
And again, it's not anything really wrong with, like, the episode itself. It's just, like, a minor character thing.
Yeah. Because she even says, at least your friend Lieutenant Kirk had the decency to stab the kid in the front. I was like, jeez. That was rough, yeah. Okay, so let's go on to my number 3 episode. So this is my number 3, Mr. Monk and the Candidate. So this is the pilot episode where we obviously get introduced to all the main characters. Monk investigates an assassination attempt on a mayoral candidate, Warren St. Clair. This was a little bit of a longer episode, so there are actually a few different suspects. You have the mayor's wife, his campaign manager, and his wife's lover. It turns out to be the campaign manager. He was stealing money from the candidate. A volunteer actually noticed, so he had to kill the volunteer, and then he had to kill the bodyguard, because he hired this bodyguard to kill her, and the bodyguard said no. He had to hire a hitman to kill the bodyguard and the volunteer, so double murderer. So in the end, there were 2 killers, the campaign manager and the hitman. the campaign manager is captured during the summation at the mock assassination, and the hitman is captured after Monk shoots him in the sewer. So, is there anything that you liked about this episode?
My favorite thing, honestly, is how they proved it. Because it's the very first, here's what happened. I don't know if he actually says that.
I don't know either.
I don't remember if he actually says that. But I like the way that they prove it. I love watching the guy who was in charge of it just come undone while they're trying to prove it. Because he's like, wait, no, it came from there. And they're like, are you sure?
I have that on here. He can't tell where the shots are coming from. I love that. He stumps him. Yep. I love that part. I like this episode overall. Obviously, it's my number 3 episode. But I think it's a great pilot. Like, in general, it's a great pilot. I think it shows Monk's personality. I think it shows the story that we all, like, know to be the premise of it. Like, Trudy's murder, and then the OCD is well established. And then the humor that we can find in it in spite of all those things. I think that does, in the very first scene when he says, the stove.
Yeah.
The stove is on. And Sharona gives him a pep talk, and yeah. Oh, when he's trying to sit in the chair, whenever he's talking to Miss St. Clair in the classroom, the little kid's classroom, and he's trying to sit in the tiny little chair, and he finally squeezes his butt into it, and then he gets stuck.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then, do you have anything else? Because I have this is my favorite scene, and that's it for what I liked. Even though I did like it, I don't have a lot about it, but I like it.
I think I just like that it was just a good establishing like episode. Like, not a lot of pilots out there are as good as establishing character or plot or kind of giving an idea of, hey, this is what this series is going to be about. I've noticed a lot of pilots fail to do that, and this is not one of them.
Yeah. That's an apt assessment once again. So, my favorite scene is one of the funniest Monk parts ever. Okay, so they're in the little kid's classroom. All the little kids are coughing incessantly.
I hate it.
And you're like, okay, children, that's enough. Go home, all of you.
Why are you all dying?
And then so Monk is covering his mouth with the top of his jacket, and he's like looking around like, oh my gosh, I'm going to catch the plague. And then there's this little boy that's right next to him, like almost touching him, picking his nose, and then Monk like looks at him like, no.
Oh my god.
The little boy pulls his finger out, looks at the booger on his finger, and then Monk's eyes get super big like, no, do not do this. And then the kid sticks his finger in his mouth, and then Monk screams like a woman and throws himself into the pegboard behind him. It is so funny.
He tosses himself. That whole scene. If you've ever seen Monty Python, it reminds me of the scene where it's the Black Plague and the guy is ringing a bell and he goes, "Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead," and he's got like a wagon full of dead people that died from the Black Plague.
Whoa. Is it funny?
It's funny.
Oh, okay.
It's like
I've never seen.
Oh, okay. So Monty Python's just like a parody thing. They just make really fun. They're They're British comedians. So he's just got this wagon. He's like, "Bring out your dead." And all these people are coughing, like crawling to the wagon because they're dying. It's funny.
Oh, okay. All right.
She's like,
I'll have to trust you on that one. Is there anything that you did not like about this episode?
It was slow.
Okay.
It was really slow.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I tell people. I'm like, okay, you watch it, but don't forget that it's an extra long episode,
yeah,
though. It's an extra long episode.
That's why. So I don't like hate the episode for it. That's just the main thing that I remember. Is I'm like, it's kind of slow.
Because it's already quiet.
It is.
Very quiet.
There's not a lot of music in it. It's because they get music later on more in the show. They will play more music for different scenes, but I have to remember it's not something where I'm like, I actively do not want to watch this episode because of it. No, it's not. It's just I have to be awake to watch it.
Exactly, that's right.
It's so soothing.
It is.
It's very soothing.
God, I watch it to go to sleep. I'm not even kidding, because I usually don't watch pilots to go to sleep because I want to, and I'm like, no, I'm turning this one on. I love it every time. The stove. It gets me. It gets me. Classic Monk.
Did I leave the stove on? Do you want me to go all the way back and check the stove?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let's see. What did I not like? Okay, I don't like that Sharona quit so easily.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
When she literally in that scene was just mentioning how much she loved her job and how exciting it was, I thought it was kind of a stretch that she all of a sudden just was like, okay, I quit. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that. I thought it was weird. I know that they're trying to establish that she has quit in the past, that she is known to quit and all that, but I didn't like it.
But you can do it. You can establish that without having her do it. Just have her, like, she says it a lot in the show anyway. She's like, I'm quitting. If you do this, I quit. If you do this, I quit. Like, you don't need
her to actually quit.
Oh.
That also makes the episode longer. That's one of the things that contributes.
Adding on to the slowness
it does.
of the episode.
All right, so let's do your number 2 episode.
My number 2. Okay. It's Mr. Monk meets Dale the Whale. All right, so this is the 3rd episode of the series. We first see a murder committed by a very large fat man through a window from an outside street view. The woman being attacked is actually on the phone with 911, so we know what time the murder occurred, therefore ruling out the one and only suspect named by the caller herself, Dale the Whale. Dale the Whale is an 800-pound, very rich, very grotesque, obese, disgusting man. We learn of Monk's history with Dale and with Trudy. He basically made them broke by suing Trudy for a story she had written about him. But now Dale is being accused of a crime he couldn't have committed because of the timestamp on the 911 call, giving him an alibi. We do ultimately learn that he didn't do the actual killing. He did hire the man who did it, so he's the one who instigated the whole thing and planned it out. His own personal physician, who has murdered the victim, a judge that had cost Dale $210 million. And he ransacked her apartment. He made the 911 call using a voice impression skill that he establishes early on in the episode. And then he used an empathy fat suit from his clinic to make it appear that a very fat man committed the crime. He and Dale the Whale get sent to prison. Thank the Lord.
All right. What did you like about this episode?
Okay, I like the mystery about it. I like how they trick you by showing the very fat man closing the blinds. And so it's weird because they show you who the killer is, but also they don't at the same time. I also like they establish a character who is a very, he's not a main villain, but he's one of the main antagonists for the rest of the series. He's also played by, not in the first, not
two different people.
Yeah, he's 2 different people. Actually, I think is it 2 or 3?
I thought it was 2, but I don't remember.
2. I know he's at least played by Tim Curry in one of the episodes, and it's my favorite one because he just does such a good job at it. I just love the villain, because not normally, but there's a few people in the show who you kind of almost understand why they killed the person, or you're like, oh, I guess they weren't so terrible, but Dale the Whale's just terrible. I love it. You love to hate him. He's disgusting. I personally get such a joy when they finally take him down. It's such like a satisfying little tidbit. I also love how smart he is. I love smart villains. I like that he knows exactly how to push every single person's buttons, even if he's never met them before. He has ways of finding stuff out about people, so he can basically get them to do whatever he wants them to do, and I just love seeing that. That's like a thing I like about villains.
That was deep. Yeah, so I basically have quotes. Because this was my least favorite episode because this is your number 2.
Yes, my number 2.
This is my least favorite episode of the entire series. Series. Well, I went there. So far, yes, it is. I'm going to go ahead and say what I didn't like, which was Dale the Whale.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's gross.
He is gross.
And he's gross. And he's gross.
And he's also a pervert.
He also ruined Monk and Trudy by suing them in the past, right? Mm-hmm. I do like him better than the Tim Curry character, because Tim Curry is way too good at being gross.
He is.
He's way too good at it. I like the other guy better because his face isn't so and also I know this actor from 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. He's on that. And then he was on something we were talking about. Oh, he's on Frasier. He's on an episode of Frasier.
Oh, he's the
crazy man.
Yeah.
So that's what I didn't like, which is the main premise. So all the rest of my stuff that I did like were quotes. Like the first scene, Monk figures out, he's basically counted cards to figure out who put the game of Clue, where you put the people in the envelope. He's like, oh yeah, well last year we played it and Benji put all the cards away, and I remember how everybody shuffled the cards and put the cards away in the envelope. So yeah. And then Sharona gets mad, but Benji loves it because he thinks he's like a show and tell object.
So can I bring him to school tomorrow?
Yeah.
You can take him every day. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I like Benji. I like Benji in that one.
He's a cute kid.
And then what else do I like? Oh, when they go, the little girls make them buy lemonade.
Oh, that's funny.
And okay, I don't like lemonade. I don't like the lemonade scene because I don't like when kids are brats.
Yeah.
But I felt like Monk had a really funny kind of gotcha moment because the little girl says, "Why aren't you a cop anymore?" Because she's kind of being a brat. She's like, "Why aren't you a cop?" And he's like, "I was nearly catatonic for 3.5 years." Like, my wife was murdered by a car bomb or something, and
he tells this to 2 little girls having a lemonade stand, and they're just like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like that was like a funny little Gotta moment.
Yes.
Like, oh, you were going to be a brat, and then you're like, oh, he has no social norms, so he's about to tell you something messed up.
You're going to be scarred for life. Have fun.
And then, what's the last thing? I don't like very many things, obviously, but I like Randy's reverse liposuction theory.
Oh my gosh, Randy.
Because the captain's actually kind of with him on it for a second. No. He's like, yeah, he got liposuction. And then he got out of the building. And then Sotomayor was like, okay, how did he get back in the building? And he's like, or like, how did he gain the weight back when he got...
Because Sharona proves that he's not proves, but like she goes and she confirms that
I hate that scene.
Actually is that big. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, well, how did he gain the weight back? Reverse
liposuction.
He's like, oh my god. He's like, yeah, reverse liposuction. It could happen. And he's like, all right, Randy, we're going to put that in your idea pile and we're not going to tell anyone about that one.
It's going to be between you and me.
That was my last thing. Is there anything that you did not like about this episode?
It's weird. I dislike it for the same reasons that I love it.
Yeah.
Just Delawale's so disgusting. Yeah. I hate him, like, as a person. He makes me so angry, but that's also why I love him as a villain. He's so petty. Like, he is unnecessarily petty. Mm-hmm. And that bothers me. It bothers me that he's this... What doesn't make sense to me is that he is this billionaire who has all these people under his finger, but he cares about one little journalist who insults him like one time. Yeah. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I highly doubt anyone even read that and knew who you were. Yeah. They established that no one knows who he is unless you're like a higher up, because he's very careful about keeping his tracks. And I'm like, I understand wanting to keep your reputation, like air quote, but his reputation is bad. He knows everyone hates him. Yeah. Like, it's just a given. Like, he knows he's a piece of crap. Like, that made no sense to me that he would do that.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I had another thing to say, but it's Dale the Whale, and I don't like to talk about him, so I don't like thinking about his
I am that
ness. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go to my number 2 episode. Number 2, this was my actual number 2 for the whole season, Mr. Monk and the Earthquake.
That's a good one.
This is the 10th episode in the series. In the opening scene, we see a young woman, Christine, and her older husband, Henry Rutherford, sitting in their dining room when an earthquake occurs. The wife takes the opportunity to use the destruction of the earthquake as a cover for her to murder her husband. She smashes his head with a giant statue, then tips over an old armoire on top of him to finish the job. In the aftermath, we see that Monk was alone during the earthquake and as a result suffers from a dissociative episode and begins speaking gibberish as a coping mechanism. We also see Sharona and Benji blocked out of their apartment because of the quake. This is important as it is a major plot of the episode. Sharona actually knew Henry Rutherford, and he happened to be calling her during the earthquake, leaving an incriminating message of the murder on Sharona's machine. Christine Rutherford's lover befriends Sharona to try to retrieve it, but since Sharona's locked out, he has to steal her keys, and ends up murdering a worker who tries to stop him from entering Sharona's apartment. Monk finally puts the pieces together when an aftershock occurs and his gibberish comes flooding back. He even gives a gibberish summation.
Oh, I remember
Christine had killed her husband so her and her lover could inherit her husband's money. Classic. They are both finally caught after they take Sharona to her apartment at knife point. Sharona and Monk fight the criminals until Stottlemyre and Disher arrive. Great episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
What did you like about this episode?
I thought it was very funny. I liked how close Sharona was to the case, because I think this is one of the first cases where she's close to the person. I don't know. This is one of my favorite episodes, so I just liked a lot about it. Like, I remember more things that I didn't like more than things that I did like. I liked a lot of the banter. I liked the killer in this was very interesting. I normally don't see, you see people with her motive, but I normally don't see people like her. Mm-hmm. I just thought she was kind of a little unique.
Actually, I don't really write this stuff, but I like the plot of this one a lot. Sharona dates some bad guys, but not all of them have so much to do with the plot.
Yeah, this was direct.
Yeah, I think they could have kept the guy's secret covered a little bit longer, but I still like the idea, and I love the answering machine plot, because it's an answering machine, and I like that they have to stay at Gale's. It makes for a great storyline.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And so that makes it my number 2, because the Gale stuff was awesome. So I have the gang at Gale's. Monk has a bunch of crazy moments. He counts all the ceiling tiles. He uses all of her mineral water for a bath that costs her $97. And then he ruins the game night by guessing everyone's charade before they even start doing anything. Mm-hmm. That's so funny. There's the one where he says, Gail's going, and he goes, "The man that came to dinner." And she's like, "How did you know that?" "It's about a dinner guest who comes and won't leave. And you were looking at me."
And you're looking at me. Oh my gosh.
I love that one.
That's another thing I like about the episode, which is also what I hate about the episode. It's not the episode's fault. It's not a writing thing at all. It's a character thing. But I'll let you finish what you like about it before I go on.
So I also like the part, well, it's a little cringy, but it's also funny when Gail tries to kind of seduce Randy.
Oh my god, that was so weird.
It's weird, and she takes off her little jacket thing.
I can't stand her.
Like low cut top and bends over and all this stuff. It's cringy, but it's funny because they're both just such goofy side characters.
I know,
and it's whatever. Okay, and then the last thing, of course, is the gibberish. It's funny.
That's funny.
It's amazing acting by Tony Shalhoub. Also, when he snaps out of it the first time, Sharona's like, "Oh my god, you can talk!" And then Monk says, "Of course I can talk. What is wrong with you?"
He doesn't understand what he's speaking to.
It's so funny.
It doesn't register.
Yeah.
You're like, child.
Did I already ask you what you like? I did, right? So what did you not like?
I did not like Gale.
Okay.
I loved it. I loved watching it, but I hate her. Because I know people who are like that, and so her character bothers me so much. And I feel so bad for Sharona, because she's, so Benji has this line where he's like, "Do I have to separate you two?" Mm-hmm. And then when he says that, I'm sitting there thinking, but it's Gale's fault.
Yeah.
Gale initiates everything. Sharona's just trying to defend herself.
Yeah, what did she say? I got caller ID. I got caller ID before you. No, you didn't. I had it in Seattle. I had it both. And you're Gail, shut up.
She accuses Sharona of copying her purse style.
Yeah.
And then she's like,
I had
"Why?"
This for you.
And then Sharona says, "Why would I purposefully copy you?" And she, "Do you honestly think that I did it on purpose?" And then Gail just kind of looks at her, kind of gives her a look, and then does this little sassy head tilt thing, and then looks at her purse and "You little brat, you're a grown woman. Why are you acting like a teenage girl?" I absolutely hate her character. I know too many people like that in real life, not funny, 0 out of 10.
Oh my, oh right, we went there.
Acting, 8 out of 10 though.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, if she made you believe it that much.
Yeah, I believed it. So that was good acting. I just hate the character.
Gee, what's her name? I can't remember her name. Amy something. I'm sorry. I thought of it every time I see her name. I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally her name, and I'm blanking. So let me just go on to what I did not like. I didn't like when they were mean to Monk on game night.
Oh my god.
And then they play for like 2 seconds, and then they're like, "You're no fun." I'm
You're
like,
no fun.
That's mean. You're just actually playing. I thought it would be fun. I didn't really like the murder of the electrician guy. I thought it was kind of senseless, but then I also was like, well, maybe the guy deserved it because he's like, the guy's trying to break into the apartment, and he's like, he lies and said he works for the phone company or something, and then the guy's like, well, I was told we had this whole block, and he's like, I'm gonna have to call this in. Like, really, dude? He obviously thought he was doing something suspicious, so you're gonna say, I'm gonna call it in. That
happens a lot in this show.
Yeah. That means you're about to die. Why are you doing that?
Dumb.
You just play it cool, walk off and be like, alright, no big deal, and then call the cops. Is it that hard?
No, like, that's what a normal person would do. There's another episode of Monk where that happens, where this guy, it's like, the guy who's in charge of the parking garage walks over, he's like, what are you doing? And he says, oh, a flat tire, can you believe it? And he goes, no, I can't. It's not your car. I'm calling the police. And you're like, dude, are you stupid?
Yes.
You're gonna die today.
I love that episode, though. I love that episode. I actually can't wait to talk about that one. Okay, let's see. My last thing, which is maybe a plot hole. Couldn't Monk have just used hand gestures when he was speaking gibberish? Because he does whenever he's in the cab and the guy's like, left, you want me to turn left? Because Monk is saying, like, and he's pointing to the left, so the guy understands that. So all the other times in the whole episode, he can't write. Yeah. He tried that.
They aren't
he can use charades to, like, he could act out. I thought that was kind of, like, maybe a little plot hole.
They're not clear on whether or not he understands that no one can understand him. Because, like, there's stuff like that where you're like, okay, he clearly, like, has to, like, use other terms of communication because clearly he's not being understood. But then I'm thinking, why is he acting like, I don't know.
That's true. Like, because when he snaps back and he's like, what is wrong with you? Of course I can talk. So, yeah. I get what you're saying. That was weird. Maybe it's an in-betweeny plot hole.
Yeah, it was like, just, does he know what's going on or not? Like, come on.
So I think it looks like we are actually to our number 1 episodes.
Woo-hoo.
I feel like we should have some type of, like, not applause, but, like, Toby, do you, like, have anything?
Toby.
Oh, a drum roll. I like that. I guess, Savanah, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. What's your number 1 episode?
Mr. Monk takes a vacation.
Oh. Mr. Monk takes a vacation.
Okie doke. Okay. So, Mr. Monk Takes a Vacation is the 9th episode in the series, and in the opening scene we see Benji witness a murder at their hotel that they're staying at through the binoculars at the beach. The catch in this episode is that no one, except for Monk, actually believes Benji, so no one knows if there is indeed a crime, and Monk, Benji, and the hotel security, Bronwyn, they take it upon themselves to conduct their own little investigation. We ultimately discover that a group of maids in the hotel did kill one of their fellow coworkers, and they had been doing a bang-up job at covering up their tracks along the way. So what happens is Monk, when Monk, Sharona, and Benji get to the hotel, they take a picture in front of like the little cardboard sign where there's like fake luggage, and there's 3 suitcases. So when they're about to leave, they notice that there's 4 suitcases. So Lupe's body is discovered there, and the 4 maids are busted. Okay, so do you want to do that as something that you liked, maybe? Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's one of my favorite parts is where he finally figures it out. He leaves. Sharona, Benji, and Monk get in the car. They start to drive away. It halts to a stop. They neom around. They get back to the hotel, and then Monk rushes in. He takes the photo. He shows the staff, and he slowly counts on his fingers. He points at the photo, slowly counts. 1, 2, 3. Shows 3. He lowers the picture. He points to the scene in front of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they go to the 4th suitcase.
And the maids are like busted, like their faces
They're
are like
terrified.
oh, no.
One of them covers her mouth. One of them's tearing up. They're so obvious too.
Yeah.
Like they literally like, have a safe drive, Mr. Monk.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah, that's so mean.
And then the hotel security throws it open, and then there's Lupe.
Yep.
And I just love that scene so much because he doesn't
It's really
say
good.
a word, and it's so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I actually liked the hotel security, Bronwyn.
I loved her.
I remember Keiko saying she didn't like her, but I feel like she added some sidekick action because Sharona was like on vacation mode.
Yeah.
So I probably honestly didn't like it the first time I watched it, but then when I was rewatching it again, I was like, you know what? This is totally like female Randy. If they let him like do his own thing.
Oh my goodness, she
has
does.
all fake police experiences, all from television, and never actually has done anything.
And Monk calls her out on it. He's like, "Wait, so you did this?" And she's like, "Oh well, no, like on TV."
Yeah.
It is so funny. I love her. She was my favorite thing about this episode, and actually, I loved another favorite thing I liked about it is the chemistry between Monk and what's her name? Bronwyn. Monk. They worked so well together.
I know, they were cute. And he wasn't even annoyed by her.
No,
he was just like cutely
they had
like
fun. They
have
looked
you
like
ever had real police
experience. He thought it seemed like he thought she was like, oh, look cute. Look at this cute little security person. She doesn't know what she's doing.
Yeah.
And then they genuinely had fun. It looked like they had fun together, and she didn't mind his little tics. She didn't mind the thing that was wrong with him. I kind of low key ship them because I feel like they would work well together, and they're both so weird. They're both so odd, and they're just okay with each other.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
They genuinely had fun. At the end of the episode, she says something like she just gives him like a few departing words, and it's really nice. And I just thought she was very fun. She wasn't a stereotypical lady. Like, she was still feminine, but she was very much like, I'm not going to be pushed around. Another thing I liked about this episode, I love the relationship between Benji and Monk. I love that he's trying so hard. Like, he knows Benji, and so the whole episode is them getting closer. And I feel for Benji because I was that kid a long time ago. Like, when I was his age, like, I would say things, or like, I know what it's like to have people like not believe you or just think you're a stupid kid, and so I really felt for him on that aspect. I loved that he got close with Monk. I thought Girona was hilarious. She's like, I'm trying to be on vacation. Oh, but then lastly, they're at home. Their vacation is over. They're unpacking.
I have this in my notes.
It's a scene where she's like, I don't want to ever go on vacation with you again. If you force me to go on vacation, I will quit. I can't believe I just said that. And he's like, Girona, you're a little tense. And he's like, you know what you need? And she's like, don't say it. Vacation.
I love that. You know what you need?
Vacation.
I have that in my notes. That was the best. Oh my gosh. I need another good Monk Sharona moment. Okay. So when Sharona's like excited about the guy she's dating, obviously he's another scumbag.
Obviously.
Because Monk says, yeah, I think he might be married. And Sharona says, might be or is. And then Monk says, his wife's name is Julie. I saw her name on a check he was writing.
Oh my god. His wife's name is Julie.
Oh, I love that. What else? Okay, let's see. Oh, so this is a random Monkism. This is the first time that we hear him use a percentage to assess a murder. So he does this in the future. He
Oh,
goes,
yeah.
I'm 65. He's
35%.
usually, but he's usually
Yeah.
more sure.
He's like, I'm 95
or something.
percent sure.
Yeah,
And
this
they're
one
like,
he was 65 to 70% sure that the man murdered his wife, and he was wrong. So you're like, okay, but he was only 65% sure, so it's okay. And then I have that quote. Also, I liked that Benji was sticking to his guns so much about what he saw, because he knows he saw murder. I mean, so
poor kid.
and I thought he was a good actor too. Because he's the replacement Benji.
He was a good little actor.
So I thought that he was good.
This was a good debut. This was a good Benji debut for him, because he's Benji for like the rest of this series, I think.
Oh, and actually he's not.
He's not?
No, he's the he's the replacement Benji, and then the old Benji comes back. And the old Benji is it's like a Roseanne type thing.
Okay, no, yeah,
where the Becky comes back and he's Becky.
He's young Benji, like younger Benji.
Yeah.
So I like him. I liked him. He did a really good job.
So I'm gonna transition to what I didn't like, which was I did not like that Sharona did not believe Benji.
I hated that. That doesn't make any sense. No, I hate that.
Because I feel like she's a really tough mom, but also she knows that he wouldn't be lying.
She's what? And Monk even says this. Monk says, "Why? Why would he lie?"
Yeah,
and
maybe he's trying to impress you.
Like,
You're his father.
No, that's okay. In what world would make you think that Benji would do that to impress Monk? I mean, I understand that he admires him, but Benji knows Monk. Benji, like, I don't. That just was very out of character for Sharona, and she's a Mama Bear character. Mama Bear characters, like, their thing is that their angel can do no wrong. Like, they understand.
Okay, but to be fair, this is what I'll disagree just a little bit, because I feel like she's a very level-headed mom.
Okay,
she would never flat out say, my kid can do no wrong.
Oh, yeah,
she would just have the good logic enough to say, my kid doesn't lie about that. Why would my kid lie about that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're right.
I feel like that's why I didn't get the logic behind it. Okay, this is the last thing that I'll say that I did not like about the episode, because I really, really, really did not like this. The comedian.
I hated that. That was so stupid.
It was random. It didn't pertain to the episode at all, and all he did was just make fun of Monk the whole time, and it didn't make any sense. He wasn't funny. Nothing he said was funny. None of it was funny.
No.
Not even as like take a part out of it. If you were in the audience member, you would be cringing at him making fun of another person like that. I think.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. That's exactly what I thought when I was watching the episode. I was like, no comedian would spend this much time on one person.
Yeah, no.
I didn't like. I also did not like the unnecessarily antagonistic. What's his name? Not his name, but like the guy.
Oh, the hotel manager.
The hotel manager.
Yeah.
I was like, what is your issue? He was so anti like everything.
Solving a murder in his own hotel.
I'm like, okay, let's think about this logically, sir. The faster you cooperate with their weird demands, the faster you can either show that nothing happened here or that something did happen here. Either way, you get this over with faster. So why are you being so annoying and so unnecessarily rude to Monk, who is just trying to help?
Yeah.
Like, he just was very...
Tick.
Yeah.
Tick.
I was like...
Tick.
Oh my god, I was about to... I
hate when people say tick, tick, tick.
I'm like... oh, don't...
Okay, so then I get to talk about my favorite episode. Toby, do I get the special treatment? Mr. Monk and the Airplane.
Woohoo!
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like the title of that. I was trying to guess it before I saw it. I thought it was like Mr. Monk Takes Flight or something like that. I was like,
that
Mr. Monk and the Airplane?
That sounds like a little kid episode.
Yeah, it makes it sound like the airplane is a character.
Yeah, no, like because you have Mr. Monk like takes a vacation, Mr. Monk and the redheaded stranger, Mr. Monk and the Airplane. Boys and girls, let's sit down and watch this episode together.
Airplane. Yeah,
this episode about murder.
Exactly. This episode about murder. I like that. Okay, so this is the 12th episode of the series and the final episode of season 1. In the opening scene, we see Sharona tricking Monk into a decision, spending a week without her or get on a plane with her to New Jersey. He chooses Airplane and immediately begins investigating 2 suspicious passengers, a married couple named Stefan and Barbara Chabreau. Lots of things aren't adding up. The wife says she has a fear of flying but has a 1,000,000-mile pin. She forgets she orders a vegetarian meal. She meets an old friend on the plane, but she can no longer speak French. And she also grows 2 inches since arriving on the plane. After putting the pieces together, Monk calls Lieutenant Disher from the plane and discovers that Barbara has a trust fund from her parents. The perfect motive to kill and have a doppelganger that looks just like her to collect the trust fund for life. The doppelganger and the husband killed the wife at the airport before boarding the plane. She would for sure have boarded the plane, but they were planning on never coming back from Paris if anyone discovered the murder. Mm-hmm. The task then was to find the body. When Randy realizes the husband works for the airline, he thinks that he would have unrestricted access to the airport. So Disher discovers some new construction with a tip from Monk and has them dig into the job. The body is discovered just as the Chabros are about to make their connecting flight to Paris and are apprehended at the gate. That is Mr. Monk in the aeroplane.
I like that one.
I guess I'll go first since this one's mine. Okay, I really liked Warren Beach, the extension cord salesman.
Oh my god.
If it doesn't reach, call Warren Beach.
Oh my god, I remember that.
I love that. So when he meets... Okay, so this is... He does a lot of other funny stuff, but I really like this. I don't know why. I just put it down. When he first meets Monk, he's trying to make him, put his mind at ease about flying. And so he's like, oh yeah, I've flown 1,000,000 miles. He has a 1,000,000-mile pin. I've never had an accident. Except once in San Diego, we overshot the runway. We had to ditch into the ocean. You know, in real life, people are fighting over those life preservers, and not all of the cushions float. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Oh god. I was like, jeez. Sir.
I'm like, he's trying to calm Monk down about the flight, and then he just goes on about this horrible plane accident he was in. I don't know. I love that. Let's see, what else? Oh, when Monk tells on Sharona for being in first class with Tim Daly.
Oh my god.
And Tim says, you tattled? You freaking tattletale. And Monk says, he called me a freaking tattletale.
He called me. You're so offended.
He's so offended. And then I have so many quotes. It's like, okay. Sharona's like, oh, he always thinks people are killing each other. And Monk says, and I'll tell you why. It's because they are.
It's because they are.
I love that too. Tell me what you liked, because I have a couple more.
Okay. I just liked it. Everything was super cute. Everything was super, funny. I just love seeing Monk in situations that he normally isn't in. It reminds me of Mr. Monk when he goes to, Mexico. Just, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like that he made the decision to go on the airplane. That's just a big thing for him. I liked that. I liked the audacity of the people who committed the crime. I'm like, are you
Yeah.
It just was so weird to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? How and why did you think that was gonna work? You're having someone pretend to be her who can't speak French.
Well, she looks exactly like her, which Keiko and Will would call face off, which they hate.
Oh.
They hate that. And to be fair, she looks just like her. It's obviously the same actress. I mean, I get it, same actress, but was she got plastic surgery? Or they found someone that looks like her?
How did they do that?
Because Monk mentions they found someone that looked just like her, a dead ringer. So he said, I mean, not that he knows, because obviously he didn't do it, but he says that. But then they say, the woman says in the bathroom, the lipstick, it's the only thing we couldn't match. Almost implying they did work to make her match her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I implied you definitely had to have plastic surgery or you're her twin. So it's whatever. Okay, I have more quotes. Monk calls Disher from the airplane and he says, I'm in a plane flying. And Randy says, have you been kidnapped? And then Monk says, no, I'm on a plane to Jersey. It's no big deal.
It's no big deal.
And then later in the conversation, Randy says, are you really up there in a plane? And Monk says, it's better than being up here, not in a plane. That's really good. And then, okay, also, Pete and Repeat were in a boat.
Oh my gosh, that child.
Pete and Repeat were in a boat. Pete fell out. Who was left? Repeat. Pete and Repeat were in a boat. Pete fell out. Who was left?
You could easily get out of that riddle if you just said Repeat was left. Then the riddle would end.
Oh, debunked.
Like that.
I never. Literally said this joke like 5,000 times and never, ever, ever thought of that. I've got to tell everyone I know now.
Okay.
My joke.
Okay, listen. I'm normally the one that doesn't get that, so I took pride in the fact that I was able to debunk one of those.
Oh.
So I'm like, yay!
Okay,
I'm finally smart.
Whatever. Okay, my last thing is that when Randy channels Monk to find the missing body, he's like, no, I've seen Monk do this a million times.
Oh my God.
And so he like puts his hands out and moves them around and he shrugs his shoulders like Monk and cocks his head. Oh my gosh, it's funny. It's too funny. Anything that you did not like about this episode? I think you kind of mixed yours a little bit.
There was just like little things, like little plot holes or minor details that just didn't make sense, stuff that you could have easily avoided, which is why I put this at like my number 2, kind of number 1 now, is because I can't really think of anything I didn't like that was glaring. Like I didn't see a glaring issue with the episode. I thought it was really good.
Okay. I have 2 things, just real quick. So, one was that I know they think Monk is crazy on the plane, but when you have a passenger die on your plane, and then you don't even hear Monk out of, like, how that passenger may have been murdered. You remember that? They murder the guy who is the older man who's on the airplane who figures out that she doesn't speak French.
Oh,
The guy tells him about his plan because he says, to our wives or to our lovers, may our wives never know about them or something. So you know the guy knows about the lover, so the guy kills him, and then Monk is like, hey, look.
Oh, yeah.
Tries to tell the captain of the airplane, like, hey, this is what happened. And the guy's like, sir, you need to go back to your seat, and starts yelling at him.
I know, like,
and then,
are you kidding
and then
me?
also, Sharona does help because she steals the wine glass that has the poison on it. And he's like, oh, steal it. She does it. But she also doesn't have to defend him and say, like, no, really, I know he's crazy, but he's a really brilliant detective. His name's Adrian Monk. Like, she could have, like, explained that. She kind of let that just, like,
happen.
Go. Okay, so my last thing was that I did not like was the noisy, nosy, annoying passenger. She gets all salty about Monk, and she's rude to him before they even sit down. And she's like, oh, I'm going to get stuck next to him. He's a crazy. I'll go figure. And you're like, for one, lady, you're talking really loud and he can hear you.
Like, okay, you're making things worse for yourself.
Yeah. And then she tells the murderer that Monk is onto him.
Remember? I remember.
She's like, do you know that guy? And he's like, no, why? And she's like, oh, he thinks you murdered your wife. I'm like, what? Shut up. Shut up. What are you doing?
Why would you... Yeah. Oh, but like one thing, they make a joke about this episode again later on in the series, and it's the flight attendant. She's like, now I can't go to this support group because it's out of state.
Oh.
Why can't you go? Now I'm afraid to fly.
Oh, you know that's Tony Shalhoub's wife, right?
That is?
Mm-hmm.
That is so funny.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
That's so great.
Yep, she plays this character. She plays a sheriff later on. She plays the mother of a missing violinist.
That is her. That's my favorite episode.
I think she plays maybe one more person. But yeah, that's Tony Shalhoub's wife. That's why she comes back.
That's cute.
And plays different people.
That's so cute. I like that. I did not know that.
Yep, that's I feel like that's a good little
tidbit,
and maybe a place to stop on that episode. But that's actually, I mean, we're basically done with our countdown. I mean, just like a season wrap up. What are your final thoughts on season 1?
Even though it is one of my least favorite seasons, if not like my least favorite season, it's not bad by any means. Yeah. It's still really good. I still love season 1. Like that's how good this show is. It's like my least favorite season is good. I still I'd watch it like over and over again. Let's see. A thing that I dislike about the season is it's really slow at times, but it's not so bad because it's season 1. They're trying to figure themselves out. And I wrote this down. I kind of disagree with myself now, but as humorous as season 1 is, it's not as funny as the rest of the seasons. But that's saying, like, at least in my personal opinion, it's not as funny as the rest of the seasons. But even so, it's still hilarious. Like, season 1 is still hilarious.
And I really like the quietness of the season.
It is. It's
and
nice.
So their funny parts they're not so forced.
Exactly.
And not saying that all the other ones are forced, but it's like, when a show becomes a bigger hit, they like to push those buttons more often.
Yeah, exactly.
Where people think, oh, that's funny. Do it again. Do it again.
Yeah,
or do it more. Do it longer.
Here's what happened.
Wasn't a lot of. There's not a lot of that in this. It's very quiet.
Yeah, see that's like
funny.
That's like a tiny little complaint. Like even now, I'm like, it's funnier than what I remember.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, I will end with. I know we're definitely a little bit long on time, but I did want to end with the
highs and the lows.
Yeah, the highs and lows, just really quick. So Savanah actually came up with all of the lows, so I'll do the highs. So just quickly, like you don't have to go into them again. Just the top 3 lows for the season as far as Monk's personal triumphs or defeats. Okay. Do number 3.
Yeah,
like
number 3.
The lowest one. There
okay, so number 3 I feel like would probably be the earthquake because it's the episode where he turns gibberish. So it's not as bad emotional wise. It's just it triggers a little tick. It makes him kind of disassociate a little bit and he speak. So it's not too traumatic for him. It's more funny than anything else. Yeah. It's just it kind of sucks for him because you're like, oh, oh no. Yeah. But then number 2 is the asylum. It takes quite a toll on him because he has moments where he's like, am I actually crazy?
And then he has moments where he is crazy, and then moments where he's questioning if he's crazy and he's not crazy, which is also crazy.
Which, I mean, being in a mental institute can take a toll on anybody, whether you work there, whether you're a patient there, so just him being in the asylum, just in general, is a lot. The number 1 is when he is not reinstated. It's so, because I think that was the most recent episode I watched in this season. What really gets me is you see him get so excited. You see him being super proud. He's wearing his old suit. And then when Stottlemyre is done, you just see Monk's, like, Tony Shalhoub is such a good actor, I swear.
I know.
His face just shatters. Yeah. And he well,
fireworks.
That was a firework.
That was startling.
But yeah, it's really heartbreaking to see. I mean, I'm sure there's other moments in the series that are worse than that, like maybe a Trudy moment or something, but just that scene.
And then at the end, he takes his uniform and he puts it away underneath the cabinet and closes it, and then Sharona goes and takes it out, and then she hangs it back up. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a nice Sharona moment, but sad for Monk.
Yeah, so. It was bad.
So I'm gonna do the 3 highs, top 3 Monk highs for this season. I'm gonna go with number 3 being the silent summation that we just talked about in Mr. Monk Takes a Vacation. They drive away from the hotel, then he gets it. And he turns around and comes back like he's almost defeated. He's almost like you're driving away and you're like, are they gonna end it like that?
So it's not necessarily the reveal itself; it's the build up to it.
Yeah,
and the reveal.
Yeah, like exactly. And then let's see. So number 2, I'm gonna go with I guess Mr. Monk in the airplane. Mm-hmm. I think I will do that one. Mr. Monk in the airplane. Just obviously we just talked about the episode, but the fact that he is at his highest anxiety that whole time that he's on an airplane, doesn't want to fly, afraid of flying, and puts all these pieces together. And even like Warren Beach and Sharona, they say, you're just taking your anxieties out and you're trying to come up with something to distract you. He was obviously doing the exact opposite of that. He was sharp. He was on his game whenever he was the most anxious. And he solves the case. And he calls Disher and he does everything. He does it all. He's locked in the airplane bathroom, and he figures everything. He's claustrophobic inside an airplane, and still manages to come out on top. So that's number 2. And the last top high moment for Monk this season is also Mr. Monk goes to the asylum. That was a very low, right? He was crazy, but also he actually does have crazy moments. He thinks that he's crazy, going crazy, but then goes, wait, no, there's something wrong with Dr. Lancaster. He figures it out. So then Dr. Lancaster puts him in the quiet room, puts him in a straitjacket. He gets out of the straitjacket, beats up the nurse, goes and climbs out the window, climbs up on the roof, afraid of heights, confronts Dr. Lancaster again and tells him off, waits for the police, and does all of that. After being crazy the whole episode. So that was my top Monk High. Those are the top 3. The top 3 lows, and I think that's it. That's my final thoughts. Your final thoughts. Are we good? I think we're good, guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can come back at you with, a season 2 recap. It takes a little bit of time to watch all these episodes and make some notes. So I don't know who I'll have next time, because Savanah doesn't actually live here. She is far, far away. And, so yeah, thanks so much for coming in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, okay, where can our listeners find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Blade_Chan, CHAN 888. It is a cosplay account, and I do a lot of cool little dress-up things on there.
Does. She's very good. She's very, very good.
Thank you.
And are you doing any acting these days? Or?
I'm gonna try. I'm doing
that's all you can do.
My job and school, so hopefully I can. I'm doing theater at school, so I should be good on my theater kick for the year. But yeah, I'm gonna try and do some local productions if I have time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So exciting. Junk Monk listeners, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
There it goes.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Junk Monk podcast. We'd love to hear from you, so please rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, follow us at Junk Monk Podcast on Instagram.
If you want to know more about Kandyce, she is at Hearteds and Hardhats on Instagram. And if you want to know more about me, Noah L., too bad. Also, you can catch up on Monk with Amazon Prime Video.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast.
You'll thank me later.